this very day, at the stroke of midnight, another Trump abortion ban went into effect here in Florida. As of this morning, 4 million women in this state woke up with fewer reproductive freedoms than they had last night. This is the new reality under a Trump abortion ban.
Hi again, everyone. It's now 5 o'clock in New York. Vice President Kamala Harris this afternoon in Florida on the devastating new reality for women living in and around Florida after a 6-week near total ban went into effect at midnight last night, making it a felony crime to perform an abortion in the state in most instances. This ban will decimate access to abortion health care in the South, sending shockwaves across the entire region. Florida had been a vital access point for women fleeing states where abortion is already banned, with 1 in 12 abortions in the country being performed in Florida. This is just one part of the chaos and heartbreak and danger that has ensued across the country after the earthquake that was the Dobbs decision. And just last hour, Arizona's Senate voted to repeal a 160-year-old near-total ban on abortion there after the state's highest court, packed with conservative justices, upheld the law in the wake of Dobbs. Now, the repeal likely won't go into effect until the fall, leaving women in Arizona to live for months under an abortion ban that dates back to a time before they even had the right to vote. And none of this would be happening if Donald Trump had not delivered on his promise to strip away a constitutional right from generations of women by overturning Roe versus Wade in the first place. And as the vice president indicated, it's likely to get even worse if he's elected to a second term as president. In a recent interview in Time magazine, Donald Trump doubled down and said that as president, he would allow states to monitor women's pregnancies and punish women who have abortions in states where the procedure is banned. President Joe Biden quickly responded. Here's that.
Folks, to hear what Donald Trump just said to Time magazine, it's shocking. After bragging about overturning Roe and saying women should be punished for accessing reproductive health care, he said states should be able to prosecute women and appears perfectly fine with signing a national ban that would take away IVF access. There seems to be no limit to how invasive Trump would let the state be. This should be a decision between a woman and her doctor, and the government should get out of people's lives.
Abortion health care is a top-tier issue for voters in 2024, is where we start the hour with some of our most favorite experts and friends. Democratic Florida State Senator Lauren Book is here. Also joining us, President of Reproductive Freedom for All, Minnie Tamaraju, and former Assistant U.S. Attorney Maya Wiley's at the table. Minnie, I want to start with you just because we've had so many of these conversations and ask you to zoom in first on Florida for me today.
Florida, gosh, it's a lot to absorb, right? I've been talking to folks on the ground and listening to the stories. You know, Nicole, it's impossible not to think about when Dobbs went into effect, right? The horror stories from places like my home state of Texas of patients lining up, providers providing care to the last second. I mean, it's chaotic. And you've got a really frightening situation, not just for Floridians, although they're the most, top of mind today, but also for the entire region, the entire South, which has now become an abortion desert. So from Texas all the way to Florida, the closest place for Floridians to go is Charlotte, North Carolina, and then Virginia. And folks are even talking about Illinois. So it's terrifying. It's a lot to take in. The good news in Florida, however, is advocates and activists are fired up. We are well on our way to being on the ballot this fall, and we have an opportunity. Voters in Florida have an opportunity to stop this in its tracks in November. Not quick enough, quite frankly, but we are on the pathway.
So, Senator Book, to Minnie's point, there's this really heartbreaking reporting in the Washington Post today that I want to share just to bring it back to women affected today before any political remedy can help any woman. Quote, Kristen, a 22-year-old mother of two, had learned just a few hours earlier that a new 6-week abortion ban would go into effect in Florida Wednesday. So she canceled all her plans and found someone to drive her in hopes of ending her pregnancy before the deadline. She was one day too late. We did an ultrasound and you're over the state limit, a member of the clinic said. Florida law requires all abortion patients to have an ultrasound at least 24 hours before their procedure. That meant the earliest Kristen could get an abortion was Wednesday. Oh no, Kristen said, tears rolling down her cheeks as she sat across the desk from a healthcare provider in a consultation room. No. Cecile Richards also writes about Florida today and says it should be a breaking point. What is the view from your state?
It's a truly horrific, devastating day in our state. And you point out, and so heartbreaking for providers throughout the state, this ban and the effects have been felt all week. Because of other existing abortion laws that we have, there is that 24-hour waiting period. There are people who are showing up yesterday, today, who had no idea that this ban was going into effect, and now are only left with three options. One, become a medical refugee, have the resources to leave, which is often in excess of $2,500. And as Minnie said, having to go as far as Illinois, depending where they are in their pregnancy, which we don't ever want women to do, take matters into their own hands, or avail themselves to the rape, incest, and human trafficking exemption. There really isn't much option. And again, as pointed out, for the South, this is truly a horrific day. I think also, too, for women who have deeply wanted pregnancies, constituents of mine who have shared their stories and have complications because no pregnancy is the same and things go wrong, are now in terrible, horrific situations. We've heard stories of doctors telling women to go to their cars, turn off the air conditioning, so that it mimics sepsis-like symptoms so that they can receive appropriate care because of the imminent risk language in the bill that passed. These are horrific times, scary, scary times. And you're right, the only hope that we have is the ballot initiative come November.
Maya, in 2024, it's absolutely bat bleep crazy that women have to live like this till election day. It's insane. And I think the reason it's such a tectonic political development that frankly neither party is completely reckoned with or I think understood yet is because the numbers that are speaking up now. I mean, abortion health care has more public support than it has ever had, ever. 67% of Floridians would like to see abortion health care legal in most or all cases. A majority of Republican women cite women's rights as extremely or very important. 81% of Americans believe that abortion should be left up to a woman and her doctor. 66% of all Americans support a federal right to abortion. I mean, what Donald Trump has done in his handpicked appointees to the Supreme Court who had to pass Donald Trump's litmus test of promising to overturn Roe is completely upended American politics as we know it.
It's not just, it's upended American politics because it's been upending American democracy. And I think we have to understand it in the context of democracy, particularly, Nicole, when we see the numbers that you're talking about. In addition to that, 67% of Floridians who say, get the government out of our bedroom, get the government out of our examining room. It's actually gone up from 55% of Americans in 2010. It's increased to 64% nationally. And it's because what Americans, I think, and women in particular, recognize is you're talking about my right to make a decision about my body. That is fundamental. And you can't tell me it's not. And it's a chokehold. It's a chokehold on the health care of women. And I think we have to understand it as that it's criminalizing health care. It's making it a crime. And we know far too many women, including in Florida, particularly Black women. Latinas are almost 50% of Latinas, close to, are in states that ban abortion to some degree, are also the ones more likely to have fewer providers because of bans, because we have actually seen the disappearance of clinics who didn't only provide abortion, they provided prenatal care. And we're talking about women who are dying to be mothers. And we have to remember that, too. This is an implication about the right to motherhood for a lot of women, in addition to the right to survive pregnancy or to make decisions about when to form a family. And that goes straight to the heart of democracy and the power of people to make decisions for themselves. And that should and does transcend politics.
You know,